What if we tell you that we have the right to get taxes from aliens? Yeah, you heard that right. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Illogical space precedents, weird space courtesy rules, and a crazy alien kidnapping plan are all part of the story. Join us in today's video as we discuss the most ridiculous space laws when it comes to extraterrestrial life. The search for alien life is on, and whether you like it or not, our chances of establishing contact with these mysterious explorers from another world are looking quite promising. But of course, it all starts with the way we search for them. And as far as this is concerned, there is only one organization officially saddled with the responsibility of searching for extraterrestrial life, and that is none other than the IAASETI Permanent Committee, otherwise known as the International Academy of Astronautics Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This organization looks out directly for aliens and useful evidence that confirms their existence. Possible evidence includes different types of waves, including radio waves and microwaves, that may be used by extraterrestrials to transmit messages. It is important to note that SETI isn't the only organization that's hunting extraterrestrials, and it does not in any way hinder the search efforts of other bodies looking to track down aliens. In recent times, the outstanding work done by SETI and its officials has not been recognized, at least not to the level that's required. But their methods have been serving us since the days of Nikola Tesla, who was one of the first scholars to highlight the possibility of aliens using radio waves to transmit messages. This was sometime around 1896. Fast forward to the 1960s when NASA set up a couple of inconsistent SETI programs. The IAA-SETI Permanent Committee is most likely a result of these programs. And in its capacity, the organization has been able to formulate an official declaration of principles concerning activities following the detection of extraterrestrial intelligence. These are basic guidelines to regulate the activities and next actions of anyone who detects alien signals while performing SETI experiments. Based on this rule, if a scientist or astronomer detects an extraterrestrial signal, he or she cannot respond until the discovery is reported internationally through the standard procedure and a global response is drafted. On the one hand, the process of reporting such discoveries could be time-consuming, and the aliens might well be gone before we formulate a response. But then again, it's wise to inform the necessary agencies about it, because not only does it enable them to prepare a well-detailed response, it also allows them to draw up a contingency plan in case things go south and we need to defend our planet from extraterrestrial forces. The Treaty of Principles Governing the Activities of States in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space, prepared by the United Nations in 1976, covers this. According to Article 5 of the treaty, states parties to the treaty shall immediately inform the other states parties to the treaty or the Secretary General of the United Nations of any phenomena they discover in outer space, which could constitute a danger to the life or health of astronauts. Obviously, this includes the discovery of aliens and other forms of extraterrestrial life. Considering that this truce was signed by over 125 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia, you can be rest assured that the United Nations will be the first to know if any astronauts or SETI scientists make contact with extraterrestrials. Critically, our long-term relationship with aliens will depend on how the first encounter goes. The United Nations recognizes this, and that's why it is emphasized in the Declaration of Legal Principles Governing the Activities of States in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space that astronauts are envoys of mankind in outer space. As such, astronauts are expected to put up a good attitude when they're in space, and even more so if they ever come in contact with extraterrestrials. In fact, one would think that astronauts would undergo special training to prepare them for such scenarios. But according to Clayton C. Anderson, a retired U.S. astronaut, that's not the case. However, back in 1953, Andrew Haley, a U.S. attorney and former vice president of the International Astronautical Federation, released a publication where he discussed the possible treatment of aliens in the event that we establish contact with them. In this article, Haley claims that aliens have the same rights as humans and should be treated as such. This idea was later expanded by Austrian attorney Ernst Fassan, in a document called Meta-Law. Faison's expansion included 3 key principles, the first of which states that aliens and humans are equal. The second principle states that humans should not harm aliens, while the third principle recommends that humans recognize the will of aliens to live and give them a safe space in which to do so. This obviously sounds like a good idea, but perhaps it doesn't cover the reality. From all our recent studies, aliens have been described as having a more advanced civilization. In other words, they are more likely to be superior to us in terms of technology and biological composition. Hence, there's a good chance that they might try to intimidate or violently exert their authority over us. What happens then? How would we explain to them that we have equal rights? Well, we'll leave that for the United Nations and other relevant agencies to worry about. Moving on now, the Outer Space Treaty prohibits humans from contaminating alien life and their natural resources with our technological gadgets and exploration efforts. Due to this law, places where liquid water has been discovered in space are marked as special regions, and as such, they're governed by special rules that prohibit spacecraft from landing directly on them because they do not meet the sterilization standards. Other special regions include areas with volcanic activities or caves. So far, all the rovers sent out to space have lived by this rule, but with new missions springing up every other day, it's hard to imagine that someone will not breach this law in the coming years. And speaking about missions, the UN's Outer Space Treaty stipulates that no human or nation can own a part or whole of any planet, because all areas in the outer world are classified as the province of all mankind. Initially, this was done to prevent either the United States or Russia from claiming a part of space for themselves during the Cold War. But ultimately, it has proven to be a genius law because it keeps every country in space in check. In 1962, the United Nations adopted a law that proposes that every spacecraft will be governed by the law of the country that launched it. So, for example, every astronaut on a U.S. spaceflight must obey U.S. laws. Interestingly, the UN's Outer Space Treaty regards the universe as the property of humans. Again, this could be risky considering that aliens might be the superior civilization, and additionally, there is a good chance that they may have discovered outer space before us. If that's the case, then it means we are probably intruding on someone else's space, and it could well lead to war between humans and extraterrestrials. However, nobody seems to be too bothered about it. In fact, under United States law, anything sold in outer space by NASA astronauts must be taxed according to the recommendations of the United States tax laws. This is another tricky law that would need some clarification. First of all, how do we explain to aliens that they need to pay tax on the goods and services we sell them? In what currency would we charge them? If left unanswered, some of these questions might lead to scenarios that turn out to be full-blown disasters. Ironically, the United States military had a plan to kidnap aliens if it turned out that we were the superior civilization. This weird plan, called the 7 Steps to Contact, was launched back in the late 1950s, but for all we know, it could still be in place even today. Lastly, in 1969, the United States Congress passed the Extraterrestrial Exposure Law, mandating all astronauts returning from trips into space be quarantined for a period of time. This law was enacted to prevent astronauts from unintentionally bringing back alien life forms from space, but interestingly, it contradicts the 7 Steps to Contact law. So again, the pioneers of these laws will need to evaluate them again to determine which one is valid and which one is not. Regardless of their choice, our very first contact with extraterrestrials will probably cause huge turmoil all around the world.